Welcome to the Chief Healthcare Officer podcast show. I'm your host, Dr. Fatih Mehmet Gül. In every episode, we bring you global perspectives on leadership, innovation, and the future of healthcare delivery. Today, we're exploring one of the most defining elements of healthcare leadership: who gets hired and why. Our guest is Olga Kozlova, a highly respected executive headhunter and leadership advisor at the same time, with years of experience placing senior talent across healthcare, life science, and innovation driven organizations. We will discuss how executive hiring decisions shape the culture, strategy, and the patient care in the organizations, and definitely how to avoid the costly missteps. Whether you're looking to hire the next CEO or position yourself for that next big opportunity, the episode will give you insider insights from one of the best in the business. Olga, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Dr. Fatih. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you.
Before we get started, could you please just introduce yourself? Let the followers and audience know more about you.
Absolutely. Thank you for this. Interestingly, this year it will be exactly 20 years for me in executive search across multiple geographies, countries, actually sectors as well. And most recently, I landed in the Middle East, where I want to believe I'm helping big companies in healthcare and life sciences space to find the best talent for the executive teams and the boards.
Thank you. Thanks so much. When we look at the healthcare, it is one of the most dynamic industries. And you also have worked in different areas of the world, but moved to Middle East. It is also a very dynamic region when you look at the changes, the new trends, and new developments, companies, and everything. So when we look at all these things, actually, you're taking a very challenging role over there. And then we see lots of changes in the daily healthcare operations. So when we look at from this angle, I want to start with the first question as when you look at the healthcare boards, what have you noticed in their leadership choices and then the expectations from the new leader?
Dr. Fatih, thank you again for a great question. And I'm really happy that you decided to raise it today, because we see an interesting new trend, especially in the healthcare sector, where boards of directors, they are looking for actually not just clinical, operational, medical experience for the CEOs, or by the way, the board members, but also for experts from different sectors, as digital transformation, for example, as AI. And I have to mention, currently, for example, we're running a global search for one of the companies. It's a very large company, multi-billion-dollar public organization, that is very much interested to enhance their board with a new member who will be specifically focusing on AI. Frankly, it's a very interesting, challenging search for us, given that it's a growing new expertise all over the globe. Nevertheless, both of us, client and us, enjoying the search, and I'm hoping that we will definitely bring a new interesting talent aboard. We did it before with the same company. And outside of healthcare, we are also looking at sectors that are like marketing driven, consumer driven, data driven for the executives, for the companies operating in healthcare service provisions as well. Many companies started to understand the importance of data, and especially for large multi business unit structured companies, data is becoming another beautiful big asset that they would want to utilize, understand how to serve for their patients better.
It is, great to hear this one. For me, running operations for a couple decades, what I always see, the similar type of operations from my competitors, from the other organizations. But with this approach, and I'm happy, the boards have started looking for different kind of people. It means that within the operations, we will see different kind of approaches from the other leaders, which will help us to learn. Because as a physician and clinician, and then the healthcare executive, we learned the model of the business in a different way. We try to add such skills on top of what we know from the technology and the others. But if I see my competitor hospitals leader coming from a large e-commerce company head, let's say, I'm sure we will see different kind of operation over there. And I love this, and I would love to learn from my competitor. So do you think we will see this kind of hospital leaders, healthcare leaders in coming future?
Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, we try to stimulate this different type of thinking that you already have with our clients, trying to bring talent outside of healthcare. And it's always really music to my ears when we have such an interesting request, because also it gives us a chance to collaborate and partner with our respected consultants from the other sectors, and yes, bring best of the best to healthcare. We have a number of searches currently for some newer companies, I would say, with like very modern approach to healthcare, where really they put a patient in the center of the universe.
As you know, I mean, I love always discussing things about the connected care. And then within the connected care, the first thing I always share with my students or with my leadership team and then with my teams, we have to follow the trend and lifestyle of our patients. Whatever our patients want, we need to do it. So I'm glad to see this. Boards are also following the same trend, and they want to bring something what exactly requested by the patients. I mean, today when we look at the patients, especially after the COVID, they want the same services like the other industries. I mean, banking, all digital. From one application, you can do everything. In grocery shops, you can order anything and everything at any time. And then insurance and the others. So I can see our boards now looking forward to have the leaders who will be offering things based on the lifestyle of the patients. But then in this part, I mean, healthcare is a conservative industry. Now we're discussing something in a different way, which is a different approach. But in between, we also want to have the right leaders. So here I want to ask you another question. What are the most common hiring mistakes in healthcare executive search you have seen and you have noticed so far?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We have the whole model how we assess the talent, and obviously throughout those 20 years of experience, I think one of the most common mistake would be just rushing to make a decision when a company needs a person in place urgently, and then looking just at CV, just an experience. We call it pivotal experience and expertise in our terminology. This is something that you can definitely see on CV. This is something that, of course, we assess throughout the interview and through rigid reference check exercise. However, there are some other very important elements through the assessment process that we would apply and assess. Would be like cultural fits, leadership capabilities, and agility and potential. And as we keep on joking, our clients sometimes hire based on experience and expertise, but they fire based on cultural misfit and inability to be agile enough, adapt to new circumstances, and etc. etc. And of course, leadership skills are very, very important. So executive search companies, we obviously apply a significant amount of psychometric tests for the assessments. It's not just our in-depth interview that we would conduct with each of the candidate, but also the different type of psychometric tests. We have our own tests, but apart from that, there are independent tests that many companies also love to use.
So I like the way, I mean, what you have said. Companies are hiring based on the experience and firing based on the adoption and then the way how, I mean, the leader works over there. So, and I also meet with several friends from the private equity companies, and then they are, I mean, hiring and firing, and the leaders, they're very busy on such things. And I hear the similar things from their side too. Sometimes they rush to get someone immediately for the new investment. And then later on, the thing what they're explaining to me, the cost of changing leader is very expensive. So then once you end up with the wrong person, you have to change this person. But now it's not just about the change. Also, you expect the next person to correct lots of different implementations what the previous leader have done.
Yeah.
So I think these are the things. And Do you think these problems are global or in the region only?
Um, it's an emerging region, right? So I think still we are learning on the way, and I mean, we'll love to talk about this as well, about the mistake of the wrong hire, of rushing, and even worse than that, after you do several wrong hires, reputational risks are also quite high, for the company. So we would also have to somehow come up, with a great story and try to polish it, sometimes for our clients. And of course, this makes the job of the next, let's say, CEO much harder, right? If there was no wrong hires before that.
Indeed. And also, one other thing, what we see in the healthcare industry, most of them are getting listed and they're becoming a large organization. Having the wrong leader on a listed organization could have very expensive consequences. And then I think we all have to be careful when it comes to these kind of leadership hire and the others. So if we just move to the next part, can you just, explain us how an executive search process looks like? How does it work? There are board members listening us. There are potential CEOs listening us. Then there are HR leaders listening us. Can you just take us through the right model of an ideal executive search process?
Sure, sure. That's very easy. That's something that I've been doing for 20 years. And many clients of ours, or many people actually, think that we just press a button on our database and we get the candidate. So unfortunately, that's not true. And our job a little bit more difficult than it seems to be. So one of the key elements of success is a great alignment with the board and or with the CEO. It depends who is the key stakeholder in the process for us. So that's why before we start doing anything targeting candidates or companies, we definitely would sit down with our clients and actually a number of stakeholders on client side and align what we are looking for, what are those exact capabilities, the leadership skills, how does the culture profile of our client company looks like, what are the expectations, and many, many things. And I love to talk about the strategy of the company, what they actually planning to gain in, like, let's say, a year, 2, 3. What are the immediate things that a new person would have to fix? But most importantly, strategy, right? Is a company playing IPO? Is this company is playing M&A? What is the growth strategy? Is it organic, non-organic? So all those things are really crucially important. How does the current team looks like? What are the challenges from the people agenda? And after this, yes, so we would probably create a very meticulous target list of the companies that we will be looking at. But not only, I love to entertain my clients with like 20%, as I call them, out of box candidates that might be coming not necessarily from direct competitors or even companies from the same sector, but will be coming from totally different sectors and bringing a different type of perspective, to the company. And then, yes, so we conduct in-depth interviews, assessing all those practically 4 important elements that I just mentioned, like pivotal experience and expertise, culture fit, agility and potential, and of course, leadership capabilities. And we have our own instruments.
From the job seeker point of view, we see only the interview process. And I can see that you have a huge interview process at the client side too, to understand exactly what they're looking for. And it's not an easy job because there are different kind of, clients everywhere. And then there are family businesses, there are corporate businesses, there are different kind of private equity investments and the others, and each one of them will need a different kind of leadership. So then I'm glad to hear that you spend a lot of time with the clients to understand first before getting into the candidate side.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we also have to adjust. So working with private equities, it's always very dynamic. It's always very fast. So they quite often would want to have an outstanding candidate tomorrow. Style of family-owned companies also is quite different. Sometimes we would have to educate more like corporate language and bring in more of like structured processes. Some would prefer to have, weekly update calls, very detailed ones. Some other companies would just want to reconnect when there is a result. So we also have to demonstrate certain agility and flexibility for our clients throughout the process.
So it's great to hear that. I mean, you're spending a lot of time with your clients, and there are different clients with different expectations. And I'm sure for each one of them, you will need to get a different kind of leader for this. And it's a very good signal, actually, because we do not want to offer the wrong candidate for a different company setup. But then now I want to move to the interview candidate side. And when we look at the interview candidate process, can you just give us some hints? When you meet with a candidate for a leadership position, what are the some red flags or green lights you notice in these executive interviewers?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Fatih, as always. So we don't like when candidates kind of giving us too much vague answers when they're not very clear, with the examples. So that's why we call it like in-depth interviews. That's why we try to go deeper and deeper into particular examples. Quite often I will share with many of my candidates as a trick, to keep in mind this SAR model, situation, action, result. So I think it really helps many of our candidates, especially during the interviews between them and the clients, to be very precise and to give a great, clear answers. Describing first what was the situation when he or she joined the company, what exactly he or she did, and how, and what was the particular result, using the figures. So I do love when a candidate would use figures, especially if we talk about revenue growth, getting bigger market share, and etc. etc. So this helps a lot, and it gives you tangible data for sure. So this really helps.
So you're looking for authenticity and then natural talk rather than fabricated interview setup. So I think this is the best way. And I think here also we can share some other thing. I mean, these are not just the hints for a leadership hiring process. It is a recommendation for any kind of hiring process. I mean, we keep meeting with candidates on a daily basis. I make interviews every single day. When a candidate comes with a very natural way, you also feel comfortable talking to this person. I mean, you know that this person will be your colleague one day, and then you will feel okay. You will feel comfortable talking to this person.
Absolutely.
These are the things I think we look at with every interview process. Any red flags? Some of the people might be very desperate, and then some other ways from your experience. Did you had a, I mean, leader or the candidate? You had to just drop it immediately.
Well, we've noticed that many people want to be now these days Middle East, specifically Dubai, and they bombard a lot of headhunters, and not only with their CVs. So it's quite a small market and information spread. So definitely, I would recommend to be very cautious how you share your CV, how you share your cover letter, with how many consultants, because apparently we all talk and somehow it's spreads too much. And one doesn't want to seem like a job seeker for sure, like a desperate, as a sad person. So I think you need to be really cautious how you approach a job search process in general. I hear very different opinions about the size of CVs. Some would say, it should be one page max, but honestly, I would quite disagree with that. I think for an executive roles, especially for the boards, it can be one page, just a summary. But for the executive roles, I would rather prefer longer than shorter, but probably 3-5 pages max. Yeah, but because we need more data to assess, even before we meet with the candidate.
I appreciate. I appreciate it. It's great to hear this because uh, job seekers, they prepare such CVs and they want someone to really pay attention on these jobs, apparently CVs and then the other things. So we really want to hear also from the other side of the table, showing the respect and reading these CVs, asking questions and the others. It's a mutual respect from both sides, I believe.
Yeah.
So here I want to ask also another question. What is your one piece of advice for healthcare organizations making a critical leadership hire?
Well, I would say don't hire for today's needs, hire for the future. And frankly, we see such examples across many clients of ours. And again, I will come up with my storytelling. So for the moment, we're looking for the CEO for a company that is actually having a very small size business now, but the company has an aspiration to grow significantly within the next years and take it public on stock exchange probably in 5 years. So this is why we're looking actually at leaders who are already managing significantly bigger businesses than our client companies now. In order to get there where they want to be. And we try to assess, both scenarios, whether we hire someone who is capable to manage the company now and take it to, let's say, mid-size organization, or someone who will be ambitious enough to grow the company practically from the startup phase to a sizable organization with multiple business lines, with stable executive team that is having a mission and that will go public most likely within the next 5 years. So that's why it's crucially important to assess this leadership for the future, definitely not for the current existing operations. But how fast the world is changing as well.
Sure, it's a very good advice, and I think we're just connecting, with the beginning of this interview. So then, definitely we want the boards to understand what's happening in their market, what is next, and then have the leadership hiring accordingly. And this will support everyone. This will support organization. This will support the patients. This will support all the rest of the staff. Olga, thank you very much for this incredibly practical and insightful conversation. I really enjoyed the discussion. Do you have any last words you want to share before we close the conversation?
Yeah, we probably recommend to hire smartly and look for the job smartly in this new world we're living in.
And also, I think it's important to hire and then work with the right consultant, right? For the headhunters and then the others. So thanks so much again. I really appreciate your time, and it was a wonderful conversation. And in healthcare today, which is already a people business, the people we place in leadership, I think they are as important as the systems we build. And your work definitely reminds us of that. So, to our listeners, we hope this episode helps you your approach in hiring and leadership development, and with more clarity and then confidence. So, please feel free to share this episode with your colleagues, HR partners, and anyone preparing for their next hire or leadership role. So, until next time, stay thoughtful, stay purposeful, and keep building the connected care. Thank you so much.